Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the UnFuckIt Discussion, or Danny's Rant of the Day. It is, I don't know, 10:10. It is the 10th of October already. Yeah, what do you even say? What do you even say anymore? People have seriously lost the plot. And I was joking about it in the UnFuckers group the other day. It was yesterday. And I'd gone out. I was in a couple of other groups on Facebook that I wanted to check in, get some information on, and da-da-da. And then you start interacting with people. And these are supposedly, they're supposed to be pretty awake people. These aren't like, they're not brain dead people. They're purportedly, pretty with it and aware of shit going on. And I ran back into the UnFuckers group and was like, I'm just done. I'm done with all of these people who profess to be truthers or profess to be awake, and they're just heads so far up their own asses. It is just mind blowing. And someone made the comment about going out in public and dealing with people in the public. And you know what? I don't seem to have as much of a problem with that right now. Going out and dealing with the people out there, and I think it's because I have a lower expectation. Maybe I don't expect them to get it. I kind of expect the kind of rote responses, the programmed responses, the inane conversation about weather and politics that's just retarded. So because I don't have any expectations, having those conversations aren't a problem. Going out and interacting with those type of people, not a problem. It's literally when you come into a place and you go to try and have a conversation with somebody who, with a group of people who are, like I say, are so supposedly self-purportedly aware people, and they're so caught up in the brainwash and the political shit right now is out of fucking control, and the division stuff is out of fucking control, and the fact that these people are perpetuating it and they don't even see it. And when you try to say to them, hey, do you not see how you're getting involved in these fucking head games? Oh, but women's equality rights. Oh, but Kavanaugh is an asshole, or Kavanaugh is the king, or it doesn't matter. And it's like, they are yes, Tracy, exactly. So brainwashed, it's scary. And the worst of it is I've seen people this in the last few weeks. Who is that? Hold on. There we go. In the last few weeks, I've seen people who I know are smart with it, who I know they know this shit. Like, they know all about programming. They know all about the diversionary tactics. They know all about this crap. Like, in depth, know it. And yet they're still reacting. And they're still jumping on bandwagons and blowing horns and supporting these various ridiculous movements. And it blows my mind. It blows my mind how many people who should know better have fallen for all of this bullshit. Or the flip side of it is, are so caught up in one argument, one specific thing, that it is to the absolute exclusion of everything else. And everything revolves around that one point, whatever it is. And it's fucking name Agenda 21 type thing, like chemtrails. And then it's like everything is chemtrails. It doesn't matter. You can't even have a conversation with them without, it's all about chemtrails. No, it's not all about chemtrails. Seriously, there's more shit out there that we're dealing with than just fucking chemtrails. Or it's all about Hollywood pedophilia. Okay, but there's more fucking going on. And you are so obsessed with this topic now that it's literally they're obsessed. Absolutely obsessed. And I get it because we go rabbit hole jumping. We all do. And we go through and sometimes you find something that is so amazing that you do dig really deep into it, and it's like it can be very consuming for a while as you're trying to pull all these pieces together of information. But it's to a level where it has become obsessive now. Literally obsessive, and it's like there's a pattern set in there. Like a frequency pattern that just comes up, and once it's got you hooked in something, it will just repeat that pattern and just keep throwing it at you over and over and over again until people are not able to pull away. They become obsessed. I don't know. It's a warning, guys. If you find yourself obsessing over one particular topic, maybe it's time to just walk away from that topic, even if it's just for a week, and just put it away and go back to it. Go back to it later, but take a break. There is interesting. Yeah. The NPC stuff, yeah. And it's so funny because we just watched The Matrix on Sunday. And when I asked Anne about it, because of course she was our virgin person who'd never seen The Matrix before. She was our one person in the group who hadn't seen it. And she talked about the whole Agent Smith and the NPC, like anyone who is still plugged into the Matrix can be taken over. And the fact that we've all seen it. We've all seen it when you're talking to someone and then literally it's like you almost see them blank out. And then they start spewing this propaganda shit that you're just like, holy crap. I had it happen on Monday. With someone I know quite well here. And we were having a conversation that was about nothing. Do you know what I mean? Like one of those conversations where you're chatting about just local stuff going on, et cetera, et cetera. And I made one little comment because the skies have been just filled with chemtrails this week. Like just filled with chemtrails. I made one little comment and I watched literally like almost like their eyes glazed over. And then it came back and they started a conversation. They actually continued a conversation that had nothing to do with anything we'd been discussing, but it was in the middle of a sentence. It was like they glazed over and they came back halfway through a sentence talking about something completely fucking different. I just was like, oh, I literally wanted to look at them and go, well, good evening, Agent Smith, and how are you? Just to see what they would do. Just and the type of, they were too old to really have probably gotten that fucking reference. But literally I watched it and it was like, you cannot tell me that aspect of the whole Matrix movie, the whole Agent Smith jumping into the people and the programming just takes over. Oh my God. It is so fucking true as far as I'm concerned. Guys, bear with me just a second. Something that is downloaded is done, but I will stop it from seeding. There we go. So I have a theory I want to throw out here. I want to talk about Antarctica. And there's some interesting shit been coming out again, just recently. So I know that there have been multiple people have posted the story in the UnFuckers group. So one of the neutrino particle detectors has discovered that Antarctica is spewing particles out. Cosmic particles. And they're all left sitting there going, what the fuck do we do now? And I've heard I've watched the story progress over 3 weeks because I read the original report that when it came out. So like I said, I follow all the Science Digests. So as soon as I saw that, I was like, ooh, find the original report. Found it, started reading it. And there was no conclusions. The original reports that came out on it, there were no real conclusions other than to say, we have absolutely detected high energy cosmic rays particles coming from Antarctica. And they very much say the word coming from Antarctica. And then there was like about a week's lag as that kind of soaked through the alternative media. And then you started getting all these stories coming out. And people were, there were, and not stories, I shouldn't say stories, not news stories, more like scientific articles, or pretending to be scientific articles, from very well-known digests, saying, oh, well, this has been located. These cosmic particles are coming. First, the theory was that they're coming through the Earth, which of course would negate so many things about particle physics, because how could these neutrinos be actually coming from outer space, penetrating the Earth, going all the way through the Earth and coming out the other side in Antarctica, which is absolute ridiculous bullshit. And we laughed. Nick and I have been discussing it on and off for the last week, and we laughed and said, there's so many questions this opens up, and none of the papers are addressing it, i.e., if they're coming from within the Earth, what's generating these high energy particles? And you have to sit there and immediately have to throw it on the table, the whole thing about there being an internal sun. That, like there's an inner Earth and there's an inner Earth sun in the center of the Earth that would generate, well, like our outer sun, high energy particles. Is that what it is? The other thing, though, was the fact of course, Cliff High talked about it earlier this year, about the pyramid in Antarctica. Are the high energy particles happen to be coming from the pyramid? Because Dr. Sam Osmanagich, who's the guy who discovered the Bosnian pyramids, has put out quite a bit of stuff lately talking about the energy that is coming out of the top of the Bosnian pyramid. Like, there's a couple of videos, I don't have them anymore. It was ages ago when I looked for them, about 6 months ago. And they've got like a bunch of scientists there testing, and they can detect that there's literally an energy beam coming out of the top of the Bosnian pyramid. Now, we know no one's allowed to go near the Egyptian pyramids. They're not going to let you climb up to the top of Cheops and start, with your devices measuring shit. But there are pyramids all over the planet. Now, apparently there is a few of them where they have detected energy beams, either continuously or intermittently, coming from the tops of these pyramids. So, therefore, you got a question. If the story that there is a pyramid down in Antarctica, a massive pyramid, are these energy particles coming from the pyramid? And they were detected in such a way, because let's face it, if you've got some guys down there running a test, and they've got the balloon, which is how it was detected, it was a balloon detector floating above the Earth, over Antarctica, or I guess I should say under Antarctica, regardless, under Antarctica, and they start publishing their findings, do they then have to spin doctor, right? Okay, well, where would these come from? Which is then all the ridiculous theories that are coming out in science articles and science magazines right now. And I sat there and I had this conversation with Nick today. I was like, we have seen so much shit about Antarctica. So much. Not just in the mainstream news, because it's like, it seems to be a continuous thing of mainstream news. So-and-so is visiting Antarctica. This person has been to Antarctica. Padre Curl apparently had to go down there and give a sermon to the penguins. God only knows. And I said, there's been such a huge flood of alternative media shit about Antarctica that I am convinced that it is a major distraction, and that there's been a major psyop being played out for the last couple of years. And basically, I suspect that they, the quintessential they, knew something was going to happen in Antarctica. Some findings were going to happen, something. And they knew they couldn't stop it, so therefore you have to basically flood the alternative media and the mainstream media with a shit ton of stuff about Antarctica, so that you can just completely confuse the issues. So you can already set storylines in place. And so you have your David Wilcox and your Corey Goods come out with all this fucking shit about Antarctica. And it sets up a storyline. And it's the brand new Narnia story. It's Narnia Antarctica is what it is now. So that as stuff starts coming out, i.e. perhaps this scientific study that shows the neutrinos blasting out of Antarctica, something that physics says cannot possibly happen, they've already got storylines in place so that then the alternative media can jump into it and say, oh, well, we remember when we told you about, these blue chicken guys or these sphere guys or this stuff or that stuff or whatever. This is all part of them. And, and then they can confuse and muddy the waters. The Lion, the Witch, and the Pyramid. Exactly, Tracy, exactly. The Lion, the Witch, and the Pyramid. Narnia through Antarctica. It was snowy in the movie, so it would work. And this is one of the things that amazes me. And we've talked about the complicity of the alternative media. And like I said, I have gotten to the point now where I think the alternative media has been so co-opted that they basically do nothing but mostly bullshit. Keep people hyper-focused on all kinds of other stuff, set out a lot of fake breadcrumb trails, if you will. And they do it almost knowingly that the public has no memory. They have the shortest attention span ever. So they can put out a story that is highly, and the example I gave, because we're talking about Antarctica, was, of course, in 2015, there was the Social Fail article about the Ark of Gabriel. And it was all about Saudi Arabia found the Ark of Gabriel, which, of course, is something you can't find any information on. There's no such thing, unless they mean the Ark of the Covenant, but even still, the Ark of Gabriel. They found it in Yemen. They took it to Mecca. They tried to open it. That's why all of Mecca collapsed and all those thousands of people died. And then they made a deal between the Vatican and the Russian high priest, what do you call him? Patriarch, there we go. Kirill, for them to take it. And next, Kirill had the secret meeting with the Popey Poo in Cuba, and then he went down to South America, into Antarctica, and the Sorcerer Fail article was all about he's taking the Ark of Gabriel to Antarctica to do a big ritual in Antarctica. And I kept saying at the time, there's no backup to this story. There's incidental shit, i.e. the collapse of Mecca that killed all those people, i.e. the meetings that we knew took place and the fact that Kirill publicly did go to Antarctica. But there's nothing concrete to the story whatsoever. And they all tied down. But then about a year and a half later, something came up, and I'm listening to people, and they're quoting this information as if it's real, as if it's fact, as in, well, this happened, and you remember when this happened, and then the Ark of Gabriel was taken to Antarctica. And I'm like, whoa, wake up. That was never proven. That was like some Sorcerer Fail article. Like, deliberate disinformation. Why are you presenting this like fact? 2 months ago, another article came by, and someone was using that as a point of fact. They were presenting it as fact. Well, this happened. We know that this happened. No, we don't know that this happened. And the alternative media keeps pushing this shit out because they know the fact that the public's memory apparently is very, very short, and they can't put 2 + 2 together of stuff that happened 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, and they just represent these tall tales and they present them as facts. And that's what I think is happening with Antarctica right now. They've created this whole subplot of fairy tale around Antarctica so that as shit actual real information or supposition is coming out, they've got a storyline already in place and people will buy it hook, line, and sinker because, it was something that everyone's talking about, and they've been talking about it long enough that it goes from being a theory, it goes from being a thought, an idea, a story, into all of a sudden it's considered hard fact. Oh yeah, the truth is absolutely censored, Vicky. 100%. The truth is absolutely censored. But we're watching now this happening all over the place. And I'm watching people express things as fact that are not facts. They're not facts at all. Yet if you hear it repeated enough, and it's like basically if it's pushed through social media enough, and if there's enough funny memes created about it, then all of a sudden it's like there's a little twitch that switches in the head and it goes from being a story, a theory, a something to click, all of a sudden it's fact. And people just accept it. They just swallow it. They don't even do any homework to even try and figure out whether this is real or not. And this is one of the problems that I'm seeing, is the continuous repeat of stories, of propaganda, of just simple unsubstantiated rumors, and then they're presented as fact. And we're seeing it in the fact of, I hate to say it, for example, the QAnon stuff. And I'm seeing it in November last year, December, when it started. It was like, well, Q is saying this. Oh, this is interesting. Oh, well, this is interesting. And all of a sudden now, everything's being presented as fact. And someone posted a financial review video in UnFuckers, probably last night for you guys, this morning for me. And it was a 15-minute video. It was running around all kinds of interesting, tying some pieces together. And some of the information that was in the video was actually really, really interesting. Talking about the Chinese yuan and gold, talking about some of the debt stuff, talking about some of the little pieces that have just happened recently in the financial markets that we're not hearing about. So you go, oh, this is really, really interesting. Yet the presentation of it is, well, this is the plan. The plan is this. You see, they're going to do this, 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 and this. And then the plan is that then that will happen, and this person's going to say this, and this is going to be this, and President Trump will do this because that's the plan. And it's presented like, I know everything. They apparently are infallible. They know all the secrets of Donald Trump and all the secrets of everything that's going to happen. And it's presented to the public as fact. And I sit and I watch people just swallow it whole. And it's like, wait. There was nothing he said there that was fact other than the statistics he showed. Things like the Chinese trading on the yuan into gold. That's fact. We can see it. There's the market trends, etc. But all this stuff of future trends, all this, it's not fact. And no one knows that it's a plan or not a plan, or if it's all fucking a psyop piece of bullshit. Yet it's presented as absolute. It's not even, this is my opinion anymore. I can't tell you the last time I heard someone start a report with, well, my opinion, I think this is how it'll play out. No, it's all, this is a fact. This is what it is. This is what it's going to be. And people are swallowing it. And I don't understand how people are not asking more questions. Don't trust a statistic. You did not manipulate yourself. Yeah, exactly. But Dobby, is not just blind fanaticism. And that's what scares me right now. It's not just blind. The flat earthers go off on one of their flat earth rants and they're all over here and whatever. Don't care. They can all go play in their own little schoolyard. If it's like the whole vegan thing, the freaking Nazi vegans over here screaming and ranting, I don't care. Let them go. Let them have at it. Hold on. There we go. It's the people who are not so much obsessed. It's the people who are just literally reading stuff and you're watching them going, oh yeah, that's what it is. Oh yeah, that must be what it is. Even if it changes from week to week, there's no cognitive reasoning. Does that make sense? I'm watching everyone seemingly swallow shit whole. They read and repeat. Exactly, Tracy. Read and repeat. Read and repeat. Let's take this. Oh, this is a kind of cool meme. I'm going to repost that and just repeat that out because, that's funny or that's what. There's no critical thinking. And it's getting worse. It's not getting better. It's actually getting worse. And like I said, I'm involved in a couple of C60 groups. And I'm seeing people ask questions that have very, very simple answers. All you have to do is open Google, type in the question, and you'd get your answer. But they can't be bothered, but they'll ask it in the group because they want a group answer back so that they can just take it and go, oh yeah, okay, well the group says this, so therefore that must be what it is. No questioning, just tell me what the answer is. Just tell me what the answer is. Not research it yourself, and it's getting worse and worse right now. So that's me just ranting. That's me just ranting. Does anyone want to add any rant? Feel free to add your rant to my rant, or tell me that I'm full of bullshit. I don't care at this point, quite frankly. Yeah, but you know what, Bassie? It's not just stupidity and greed and pure evil. It's not. That's the thing. These people who are doing this stuff, they're not greedy. They're not evil. They're not bad people. It's just as if their capabilities to think for themselves, their ability to think critically, their ability to even think about the fact that maybe they should research it themselves has been turned off. Independent thought. Exactly. Thank you. Independent thought has gone out the window. And I don't, and like I said, this not necessarily just, I mean, it's bad enough when we talk about going out in the public and you're out talking to the lady in the grocery store or the guy at your garage or what. No, I'm talking about in these groups that should be full of people, given the topics of the groups, that should be at least at some level aware of this crap, and they're not.
Hey, Danny.
Yes, darling.
It's called groupthink.
You know what? Yeah, and I absolutely know, JC. Yeah, it is called groupthink.
Danny.
Hello, Teresa, darling.
You know, I think, and I might be wrong, but I think I know what it might be.
Hit me.
People have such a hard time going within and straightening their own shit out. Even if they have an awareness of what's going on, they get overwhelming feelings of what the fuck can I do about it? And it makes them shut down. I think that it shuts them down because it's hard enough to deal with, you know, your own survival and your own, you know, trying to, you know, navigate this damn matrix as it is. And then they get out there and they hear these things and it scares the holy fuck out of them because they're already scared, you know? Yeah. I mean, you know, that's what I'm witnessing anyway. And there's where my compassion comes in because and to try to keep the you know, lines of communication open to, I don't know, call it naive, I don't know. It seems that way to me because I see the fear in their eyes. I see the searching for the answer and they don't have it. And it's hard enough to take care of your own stupid shit, no less this world. Anyway, that's my rant.
You know what? And I think you're right, Teresa. On some levels, I think fear is the problem. And you could also be very, very right that people do not, like it's gotten to that level of people so do not want to take responsibility for their own shit, their own internal work, that they will listen to anyone outside themselves so they don't have to reflect inside. And maybe it is that inner voice that's in their head going, ah, 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 ah. They just don't want to hear it. So they basically will talk to anyone else. Tell me the answer because I don't want to talk to that one. If I have to,
they won't listen to you.
In my head.
But they won't listen to you, and they won't listen to people who talk your language, will they?
Well, and that's one of the other problems is people who will ask a question. I have all the time in the world for people who are genuinely looking. People who are genuinely looking for answers, who are genuinely trying to find information, trying to comprehend something. I have all the time in the world for them, and I will help them in any way I can. But so much of it is they want an answer, but they want you to give an answer that neatly ties up their own belief structures with a pretty little bow so that they don't have to look at that shit and instead can just say, oh, there, okay, no, see, I'm okay.
Okay,
Or,
I'm going to
it's
on
okay.
that too, because I'll tell you why.
Yep.
Fear of the unknown. People are afraid to not know. And guess what? In my opinion, and yes, it's an opinion, we don't know.
No, exactly.
Sure. We can't know anything for sure. And that is a scary place to be if you allow yourself to fear it.
Yep.
If you open up your heart and be okay with other people thinking you're stupid because you don't say anything, or you just take in the information, just being okay, you'll learn more, and you don't have to be afraid of anything, because none of us know nothing for sure, but to be open to all possibilities. And I'm sorry that's where I'm at.
No, and I agree with you, and that's where we have to be. We know jack shit. It all boils down to know a whole fucking lot about jack shit. We have no fucking answers, regardless of what anybody fucking tells you.
Hey, Danny, how much, think of Facebook as a white picket fence, right? And everybody's on one side or the other, right? And they're passing gossip back and forth. I mean, we have been a gossiping species since the beginning of time. So it is natural for us to just do it in a digital way. So now we just click and there's our gossip. It's right there. We didn't have to go and knock on anybody's door to verify this information or anything like that.
No, and I agree. If anything, online makes it that much worse, because there's an anonymity that comes with being online, that you see people all the time on social media say shit to other people that you would never say to someone's face. Like, literally, you would not say that shit to someone's face because you'd be afraid that they're going to punch you right smack in the mouth.
Well, that's what happens in gossip too, right? The original person is not there. And so two people are sitting there going, oh man, if they did that to me, blah, 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 blah. I mean, this is human nature. We have done this for...
Yeah, I don't think it's human nature. I think society programmed that. That's society programming. That's not human.
Well, yeah, you're right. But it's up to us to consciously see that, to break it.
Absolutely. But what I'm talking about is the fact of if we look at that as being a baseline, it's always existed. There's always been the gossipy neighbors. There's always been the gossips on Facebook, et cetera, et cetera. If that's the baseline we're working from, in the last couple of months, we've done this. And therein lies my question. This isn't people who've always been this way. And like I said, Teresa, you may be onto something. Maybe the fear is so bad in some people that they don't want to listen to the little voice in their head that's freaking out. The little voice in their head that's going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. So therefore, let's not listen to that voice at all. Let's ask someone else, please make sense of this for me. Tell me something I want to hear. Tell me something that will make me feel better.
Yeah,
which is why a lot of people will turn down any idea that they can't understand or that goes against what their belief structures are, because it doesn't make them feel better.
Even like you said, the supposed awake and aware community, I have had people very close to me that I have been witnessing that kind of fear, and it's got a mask on it. It's an enlightened ego, which to me comes from, I'm sorry, I know the ego word. I'm not against ego. It's not that. But
I get it. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, the fearful part. They have that even worse in this, John, or in the truthers or in the ones that are trying to figure this out. I see a challenge going on with that, because the fear does run so deep. They're letting their ego get enlightened instead of their heart. And it's all from fear. And that's the deepest kind of fear, in my opinion. And I'm seeing it out there in the really, smart, intelligent ones that have a lot of information, and have connected a lot of dots and whatnot. that maybe they have got a bigger portion of the puzzle put together, and it makes them even more scared. I don't know, which is makes them polarized. That's what I see. That's why everybody seems to be in this crazy mode sometimes, with this crazy, whatever you want to call it, polarized conversation.
Okay, so here's the thing. Because we talk about belief structures all the time. And we talk about how literally, I don't think anyone is ever free of their belief structures. We just keep, digging down through all the fucking pieces and pulling other pieces out. I mean, I know I personally am still on a journey, and I discover shit that's like been deeply implanted in there, and you go, where the fuck did that come from? Is it a matter of right now, everything that's going on in the world, and we're talking about things like natural disasters, political insanity, like serious political insanity, financial insanity, the whole bit. Are people coming face to face with their old religious fears? Armageddon, Ragnarok, Kali Yuga. Pick one, right? Pick a religion. Pick an end of time scenario, because they all seem to have one. Are they coming face to face with those base fears? When you have all this shit put in your face all the time? Is this one of the things that's making them fearful? Is it an old belief structure that's just so deeply, deeply embedded down there that they're going, holy shit?
Well, that's why they're holding on to these narratives that Trump's going to do this or that one's going to do that, and so tightly, because once again, it's coming from fear. I mean, we don't know. I don't know. I see it all. I look at it all. And yes, the hopium thing, I'm not talking about that, but I'm talking about, sure, great, wonderful. I hope it all goes down, and that somebody can, do some shit with this mess. But, it's pretty global. It's pretty big. It's pretty deep. What's it going to look like? I don't know. But that's what you just said is probably a real core issue here, because that's where the motivation comes in them holding on to these, okay, this is the Q narrative or this narrative or that. I don't care what the narrative is.
Yeah, pick one.
Well, Teresa, what about assumption? A lot of this is coming out of assumption, which then, because you don't have all the facts, the actual facts, so that assumption can create fear. And how it just goes back to the original topic of everything is just such a lie anymore, or it's not based on facts. It's just everybody's goddamn opinion.
Yep.
Okay, is floating around there saying this is going to happen, this is going to happen, blah blah blah. Nobody has a goddamn fact, and how much of this is just coming out of their everything is such a lie anymore. Where is the truth? If we had truth, would any of this actually be happening?
Well, I'm wondering, is it anything to do with facts at all? This conversation was reminding me of, okay, so back in the day when I actually believed the history that I was taught, I'm going back that way, right? Long time ago, when I studied history of art in university, and the story around Romanesque architecture was the world was coming to an end in the year 1000. That's it. Dark Ages in Europe, Romans kicked out of town, nothing happening, and the world is coming to an end in the year 1000, and it didn't. So some religious luminary said, well, actually, it's going to come to an end in the year 1000 plus the year Jesus was when he died. So 1032 is the new doom date.
Yeah.
And eventually, when all that didn't happen, that's what gave rise to Romanesque architecture. People started celebrating God and building again, and they harked back to Roman architecture because that's the last vernacular they had to look back at. There had been no architectural style in Europe since the Romans, you know. So does this happen to us? And it doesn't matter whether it's Trump or Jesus dying or the world. it doesn't matter whether it's the chemtrails, whether is this just a human thing?
It's a program
I'd
thing.
like to go
It's
back
definitely
to
a program thing. Sorry, go ahead,
Like,
Fred.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Do what at all?
I wanted to go back to just 1 second, to the fear part, because I know I've been saying that before between us in UnFuckers, but I'm not sure I've said it here. All those prophecies from Revelation, which is, by the way, could be very well interpreted as being the hallucinations of a guy that was on an island, John, on Patmos, having fucking mushrooms. The guy was on shrooms all day long. And he was, what happens when you're going into that trips, you see what you want to see. But that's a side note. Fear. Why is there so much fear? Because there's so much chaos right now. Where do those prophecies come in? I've always had a theory, a what if, that all the prophecies, and I'm sorry if I knee-jerk some people, in the prophecy things, I do include the Hopi and all of those. Prophecies are predictive programming designed to instill fear in people. First of all, that would be point A, instill fear in people in times when a certain mass of humanity is actually waking up. So try to bring them back to, via fear, via the predictive programming, into a certain line of thinking. And B, since humans are creators, can create, and they, whatever we believe they are, cannot really create. They can only mimic or make us create through us. They need to manufacture consent. How do you do that? Fucking predictive programming. What are prophecies? Most. I'm not beating on all type of prophecy. I'm just beating on the type of
The ones that are
prophecy.
pushed in our faces over and over again?
Yes, especially right now. Go to YouTube and you will see a gazillion end time. It is happening now. It is the end times. Look at this, look at that, blah, blah, blah. And it comes from all the spectrum, from New Age to deeply Christian type religious to what the fuck you want. It's all there, and they're putting in the same basket. Yeah, but the Hopi said, Revelation says, I don't know what ancient. Come on, the 2012.
Pick one.
Yeah, the 2012.
The Mayan prophecy says,
The
yeah.
Maya prophecy. They just fucking ran out of stone. They got lazy. They stopped carving after 2012. And then suddenly somebody gets up and decides, oh, that's the end of days. Well, shit, that didn't happen, right? Sorry, I had to put that one in.
There's one of my favorite cartoons. One of my favorite cartoons is the two guys sitting there, and the one guy's carved the whole thing. And the guy looks at it, goes, December 21st, 2012. Why? The guy ran out, and I'll have to start another stone. Someone's gonna really be pissed off on the 22nd. Ha 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 ha. Right? Yeah. I love that.
That was one of the best I've ever seen. But as per the rest, I truly believe it. I see it. There's a fear that is based on, yes, current economic, doomsday economic, financial, blah, 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 our everyday life, because most of us here are in lack. We are in fear of tomorrow because we're lacking. We don't have what we need. We don't have a normal life. This is not normal. We should not be living like this. So that's the normal fear. Add the layer of, oh my God, what are they doing to the environment? Oh my God, 5G, which brings me, talking on that level of fear, there's one thing I would really, really like to ask. Please, it's okay. Throw stones at me if you want. That's okay. That's what I'm here for sometimes. Yeah, go ahead. Throw the first stone, ye of little face. May platypus strike you down in a rainbow of candy sprinkled unicorn fart.
Throw it out.
One big thing I would like to add, when we discuss our subjects, our subjects which pertain to chemtrails, 5G, all of that shit, which is very real. Could we do it, especially now, because now it's everything is so crazy? Can we please try when we do it to use, when we need to illustrate it, not use YouTube videos that are openly fear porn, that are openly pushing, big titles like, they're gonna fry our brains, this is horrible. Can we at least use just facts, just try, to use facts? And if we can't find a fucking damn platypus video that is not fear porn, let's just post about the facts and let's discuss about the facts in on themselves without, you know what I mean? I cannot stand, at this point, I get fucking hives when I see those videos. Look at it, it's coming, it's awful, they're gonna kill us all.
You know what, listen, and I've said, Fred, I have said this for fucking the last year especially. The fact that every year there's got to be something that they push as the thing this year that will end the world. And right now, of course, it's 5G. 5G is going to end the world. It's going to fry your brain, just like the chemtrails fried our brains, just like CERN fried our brains, just like HARP fried our brain, just like fucking pick one, because they've pushed every single one of them. So, yes, we can discuss these things without falling into, well, it's like I said at the very beginning, rationally look for facts. Do your research to try and find facts, not videos and articles that are full of fear porn and no facts, a whole pile of opinions that are stated to look like facts. That's part of it. Like, in all of this stuff, with the insanity that is literally raging all around us on every fucking level, maintaining our equilibrium, maintaining homeostasis, maintaining balance, maintaining an element somewhat of at least being the observer and not being sucked into these things. It's not that we're saying it's not true. It's not that we're saying, hey, this shit ain't bad, because some of this shit is real fucking bad. But when you come at it from that angle, of the fear porn angle, oh my God, they've just hooked up, what was it? It was the big one this week about 5G. Some city in America has just announced that they've rolled out 5G last week, the week before, something like that. And everyone's like, oh, okay, where's the facts? Let's work from facts. Let's not get all hyper and feed this perpetual fear monster. Let's be rational. Let's think about this. Let's discuss it. Let's discuss it and see who's got information. Anyone got a good article? Does anyone have some good actual tech facts? Does anyone have an opinion they can bring to the table that can maybe shed some informed light on the conversation? It all comes down to, yet again, being balanced, remaining balanced, and being responsible for ourselves. If we're responsible for ourselves, then you know what? You're doing what you can do, and you're doing everything that you can do. But don't feed into all of this fucking fear porn. Whether it's political, environmental, fucking God knows what, doesn't matter. Even keeled and open-minded, keep things rational. Yeah, and you know, and here's the thing, Tracy. People hate the word rational because they equate rational with logic and that whole left brain, right brain, da-da-da-da-da-da. It's not about being analytical, logical, etc. It's about, we talked about this last week, it's about kind of being in your heart space. In that place of calm, it doesn't have to be emotionally charged, though. Don't allow the stuff to emotionally charge you, because when it does that, it takes you off balance, because then your brain is like flipping all over the fucking place.
It's just, I was gonna say real quick, what we're talking about, the whole, not losing your shit, basically, and not getting it, because it's funny how, like you were saying, like, some people could lose their shit over just you not agreeing with them, like it ties to that, because of their belief structure, what they've been programmed to believe, and even the person's like it's to me, it's stupid to want to remain totally stupid. That's stupid in itself, and knowing that you, even if partly the fear of the unknown, but what's ridiculous about it is that, you can make it more fearful than it needs to be. How you choose to react to it,
Yep.
obviously.
And that's it about when you're balanced. And when you're balanced, you have both feet on the ground. So I get that a lot of people are like, oh, you have to stay completely in this, shut down the rational mind, the logical mind, et cetera, and stay into this one place over here. But it's about balance. It's about balancing. And I like the Gypsy, what you said, marry your hemispheres together. Use them both. When you're balanced, you're not standing on one foot. You're not standing on the other foot. You're standing on both feet. The most balanced place you can be is when you stand equally on both feet. And that is key right now, in my opinion, to maintaining balance, is this balance between the mind and the heart. And we have to maintain a balance between the two, between the emotional and the analytical, logical, rational. We need to maintain that balance between the two. And that takes 2 feet.
Hey, Danny, we also have to watch out for the echoes. Okay? Your topic you brought up today was Antarctica. Okay? Now we're going to see these echoes come out from Antarctica. The people that might not have even watched this show, right? It's an echo effect, and it's hard to articulate, but that's what we do. If I have this aha moment or whatever, right, and it kind of like creates this explosion, right, of neurons and things like that, and we all know we're connected, right? And so there's this echo effect. And I've been noticing that the past few months. I've kind of been watching for these echoes. So maybe kind of notice what is an actual statement and sort out the echo from it. Sorry, guys, can't articulate it any better, but it's this effect. It is this.
We do see the echo effect, and I agree. I agree, and obviously, like we all have we use words, and then what is the definition of the word, and does my definition mean the same as yours? But I think I comprehend what you're saying. My camera's gone completely fucky again. Come on, hello, camera. Hello. There we go. The echo effect, for me personally, is the fact of, like we say, it's like the prophecies. And another one, and another, and the echo, right? It's the same thing over and over. It just echoes through. It's the fear porn is like the echo, and they just keep echoing the same thing. They put out one, boom, and then it echoes along. And then the next one, but they become echoes of each other. And again, that comes down to me about balance. If we can maintain our balance, then we will be more ready to deal with whatever is thrown at us. Does that make sense? Do you know what I'm saying? if your both feet are planted on the ground and your knees are ready for it, we're going to be ready to face whatever stuff is coming our way. Whether it's the energetic, because God knows that's been off the fucking charts again this week, or it's the financial, or it's environmental, geological shit like fucking physical earth change stuff, or it's political. 2 feet on the ground. 2 feet on the ground. Balanced. Elizabeth, I kind of disagree because Elizabeth said the intellect is the least intelligent part of us. That depends on the interpretation of what intellect is. To me, the intellect is the rational, logical mind. Okay, so I can only speak from my perspective. Only my perspective, because I live in my own brain. So I don't know what everyone else's brain is and how it works. As we go through life, we gather up facts. We gather up evidence. We gather up stories. We gather up all kinds of little pieces to the puzzle. And we store that away in our intellect, in our physical, not our physical mind, but our mind, our logical, rational mind. So that when someone comes up and brings a story to your attention, and all of a sudden something rattles back and you go, oh, wait, didn't we hear something about that 2 years ago? That was interesting. Oh, I remember the story 2 years ago said this, 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 and this. I'm going to hypothesize. You may even just jump to the conclusion that between the two stories, that there's absolute bullshit going on because they're not even remotely tied together, or that there's obviously some kind of a connection there. That's the rational mind. That's the logical mind. And that plays, in my opinion, a very strong role in the things of when we're putting our pieces to puzzle together and we're trying to look at stuff and understand stuff. That's there. Then we have our emotional mind too. We have the emotions that also play a vitally important role. You know how you feel during certain times. You know what your physical, when sometimes it even comes down to this piece of information that you stored here in your rational mind, your emotions know how you felt about it. And it stores that little nugget away too, of the emotional mind of like, did I believe it? Did it feel genuinely? Did it feel sincere? Did it feel like a lot of fear porn? And there's an emotional impact that comes along with that. And I think it is an absolute, at this point, we have to be able to balance both.
Yes.
And you know what, Gypsy, you're right. But we don't live in what really is a logical, reasonable world, because our world is not fucking really all that logical or reasonable. Or reasonable, even slightly, at the moment. But it is the world that we're in. It's the reality that we're in. And part of that reality deals with logistics. And it deals with our intellect and rational thought. No, we can't think logically out of it, but we can't emote our way out of it either. And that's what I'm saying. We cannot logically think our way out of the paper bag, but we also can't feel our way out of the paper bag either. This is why it needs to be, we need the two hemispheres. We need the two aspects, the two,
Yes.
the emotion brain and the logic brain to fucking bind together. Please, could you just figure your shit out?
Work together.
Yeah.
Hey, Nanny.
Yes, Teresa, darling.
I stepped out for a minute, so I hope I'm saying the right thing. Something I've learned recently myself when I was
Teresa, sorry, love, it's kind of hard to understand you. Are you sitting? Could you sit closer to the mic?
Is that better?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, I got a new earplug. Okay, is that better?
Yes.
Okay. No, I just, this is a really good conversation because, unfucking all this crap that we're seeing with our eyes and we're witnessing going on with our human family, because something I was looking into recently, and I can't say I know much about, but I know some of these folks out there do, about alchemy. Is it still as bad? Hold on. Let's see.
It just every so often, from my side of it, maybe it's clear for everyone else, but from my side, every so often you get a little bit garbled, and it's just hard to hear the words distinctly.
How's that? Any better?
Is You're just going to have to try and speak very clearly.
Okay, I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay, love. It just sometimes it's like that. We all know fucking hello, internet just gets shitty sometimes.
I'll give you a laugh. It's probably because these earplugs are all tangled up because I tried to hurry up and put them in here. No, I just, you know, because we're all trying to figure this shit out and we're all trying to learn balance, and thank God for one another. I can say that because, you know, my logical mind can say learn something from Gypsy. It goes right to the heart, you know, or somebody else like Dawn or Alchemy. I started looking at, you know, the 7 Hermetic principles, you know, like the laws of the universe. I don't know much about that stuff, but I started studying it because I'm thinking, okay, there is that 0 point balance within, and there is that using the logical mind and all this stuff, but there is such a balance because I have found that magic comes to me more when I get out of my head and do shit that don't make no sense. If my mind tried to make sense of it, it usually keeps me in a stuck place. But there is that internal, that sort of balance thing, you know, that's important. And I just wanted to mention that because I know that it's really been a huge assistance to me, you know, I've always been the creative side of the brain and not so much the analytical side. And through friends and people like you guys, I've learned that some sort of something has served me to not be in my analytical brain, to kind of go by my intuition and my heart, although I need, you know, the logical, analytical part of my brain too. But it is so important to learn the balance and to understand the laws of the universe, to understand the things that actually do, that are real. Go ahead.
The laws of the universe?
I guess there's whatever, like, you know.
Says who?
Yeah, that's, yeah.
I'm going to throw that out there because that's one of those ones that I fucking hate. People say, the laws of the universe.
Well, I mean, you know, like the 7 Hermetic principles, I guess they're more like principles, you know, like the principle of, oh shoot, I'm just learning them so I can't say them back, you know, that they all go together. You can't, like, I know about the truth thing. I just recently understand that truth itself, it doesn't really mean it's the solid truth. It always comes with half falsities, you know. It's like we all like bicker and fight over what is true or what we think is right and wrong. So it's cool that you just said that, and I'm open to it because, yeah, who says, I don't know. All we can do is kind of try to muddle through and
Yep.
Right.
And you read a little bit of everything. Listen, I spent 10 years studying religions. I fucking studied all sorts of religions, and I went because I was on a spiritual quest. I was like, I want to try and find some fucking answers. Took me 10 years to figure out they ain't got no fucking answers. But each of these things, we gather pieces from them. It's okay. And listen, my whole thing, I mean, I throw that out at you saying, well, who says it's the laws of the universe? Because literally that's me sitting there being a bitch and being like, yeah, what law? Who said so?
No, you know, that's
beautiful. There's pieces, but there's pieces in everything, and we can gather up pieces as long as you comprehend the fact that you're just gathering pieces. And it may not be right, but you can pick something that resonates with you. Like if you read something and you go, oh, that's really profound, like, wow, and you take that piece and you just put it away and you store it up in there, and there's a piece there. It doesn't matter where the piece comes from. It doesn't matter if it's a conversation from the grocery lady or it's in a spiritual textbook. It doesn't matter where it comes from.
That's the perfect energy, in my opinion. An energy of unity and diversity is what is so needed, because I don't think that any one of us could do any of all this. Like everybody talks about, oh, creator, we're creator beings, blah, blah, blah. We're creator beings together. And we, you know, people say, oh, you know, I don't know. I get a little frustrated when I hear people say, because I just read something on the UU about somebody putting their heart out and going out there and doing for other people and putting their energy and work into something, but somebody took advantage of them. Now, can you say they were a victim? Or can you say, or, you know, had a victim mentality? Or can you say that they actually didn't have that 0 point balance within to understand that you have to come out into something, you know, communicating, okay, this is what I need from you, and this is what I can give to you, and let's make it work. You know, I mean, I think we've all so out of balance with everything.
And we've all been fucked that way. Exactly. And I look at things like that. Listen, just recently I went through something. You sit there and afterwards and you go, well, I guess I didn't speak my piece clearly. And I made assumptions. And because I assumed something and didn't clearly state what my wants, needs, expectations were, when it fell around my ears, well, guess what? Really, it was my own fault because I made assumptions and I didn't really make that clear to the person I was working with.
Absolutely.
It is what it is.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because, you know, all this shit that happened to me a couple of years ago, I could easily say, oh, it happened to me, but the truth is I didn't have my inner balance. I allowed it's all about learning, in my opinion. I mean, pretty much that's what it's all about.
Yeah, but don't get me wrong. I also feel that there's bullshit that's played on people that has nothing to do with them. I also don't come to the pendulum swing of like I get the thing about being the victim, et cetera, et cetera. Sometimes you are the victim.
Yeah.
Sometimes you are. That's just it. Sometimes you're sitting there having just a good old time and a fucking volcano blows up and blows your house to smithereens. And you know what? Guess what? You're a victim. It is what it is. It is what it is.
Somebody say that you called that to yourself. That's a little bit kind of difficult for me to grab.
No, fuck that shit. Sorry, that's that new age fucking thinking and all that. Fuck that shit. You call it yourself. That's a bunch of stupidity. No,
you know, is there such
listen, I had a friend of mine who got hit by a drunk driver when she was 9 years old. Spent 6 months in hospital with the 2 broken legs. Did she call that to herself? No. Did she do something wrong? No. She was a fucking victim. It was a drunk driver. He hit her. He ran her over. She broke her legs. It happens. Sometimes shitty things just happen to you. Sometimes it just does. Sometimes it's not a lesson for us to have to learn. Sometimes it's just shit happens. But sometimes there are lessons to learn.
Yeah, but maybe victim is maybe not the correct word, because when you look at a victim, you usually think pity, or, you know, there's always this emotional draw, right? And we have become this nation of victims. In fact, I do believe we talked about this last week, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
About
Absolutely.
how everybody's a fucking victim now.
Fucking
and
snowflakes.
not taking responsibility. But just like you said, with your friend who got hit by a car, or in the accident, or your house was destroyed by a volcano, is how you react after. Are you still going to be a victim, or are you?
Yeah, you are. No, see, I'm sorry. No, you are still going to be a victim. If you get hit by a car and you spend 6 months in hospital, yeah, there's some fucking serious ramifications that you're going to deal with. And there might be lessons to learn. But what I'm saying is, but the word victim has been counter-programmed again. Right?
See,
So
that's what I'm saying.
And that's what I'm saying. The words have been counter-programmed. So they've taken this word victim and they've put 2 labels on it, side by side. I was like, basically, if you say anything that goes wrong in your life, and you're like, oh, she's playing the victim card. Oh, yeah, look at her. She's just being a victim. You're being a victim. You're taking your power away, blah, blah, blah. Well, you know what? That is also part of the program. The problem, the harsh truth of it is, sometimes people are victims. Sometimes people are victimized. It's not a spiritual thing. It's not a judgmental thing. It just is what is.
You have to go through and so on. I just wanted to pick up on it for a second. There's a completely hugely different thing between being the victim of an accident, of shit happens and you absolutely didn't do anything. It's not because you had a lack of discernment, and that kind of shit happens too, and you shouldn't feel guilty about it, first of all. Yeah. But there's a big difference between that and what has become the victim mentality, which is actually a label we should change. Victim mentality is when I had an accident or a disease 10 years ago and I'm still fucking identifying with it and making it my life story. That's a big difference.
And
you
the
know,
snowflake victims, like we said, the people, oh,
Exactly.
you said something, I'm offended. Oh, I need to go to my safe
Yeah.
place
I'm
'cause
gonna
my
fight.
poor
I'm
little
sick.
feelings are hurt. Fuck off. That
Yeah,
is
exactly.
bullshit.
Exactly. That's a big difference. But again, it's everything is being used, everything, for fuck's sakes, even that fucking word is being used to put us in boxes or to try
Yep.
to.
To try and put you in a box.
Yeah.
God
And
forbid
to
you say
feel
something.
bad. I mean, something really shitty happens to you. On top of that, I have to feel fucking bad because if I utter not a complaint, but if I talk about it, then some people are going to label me as being the victim, and that's not good. You can't play No, I am in my own power. I feel powerful. I know what I am. I am fucking consciousness. I'm in a matrix. I am stronger than that. We will prevail. Fuck the matrix. Fuck the AI. Fuck all that. That being said, are we able to do it right here, right now? Well, I guess not, because or maybe we're
still
not
sitting
trying.
here.
We're still sitting here, but we're trying and we're doing it. We're unfucking it, which is a great word. Thank you, Danny, for coming up with all these amazing words. We're unfucking it.
I just plagiarized that from a song, so I can't be the one held accountable for coming up with UnFuckers. I plagiarized that totally from a song.
Well, good. Great. You got it from the song, but
we put it into common vernacular now, and that's all us.
Exactly. Thank platypus, because that's another one that seems to be going around. I'm really laughing because it's going around now. So, guys, this is part of unfucking. It's like literally take the threads out. It's like a big ball of yarn where the cat played with the yarn, and all the colors are mixed together in a fucking big ball. Shit, come on. We can be victims sometimes, and it's okay. We just don't over dramatize it, and victim mentality is not that. And not everything that fucking happens to us, it's fucking karma, because karma's bullshit.
Thank you. Oh,
yeah,
thank
sorry
you.
to put more bubbles.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's one that's thrown out there way too much.
Yeah,
the Eastern version of karma and the New Age version of karma. Fuck.
Both.
I'm sorry, but this would be a good point to talk about energy exchange, you guys. I mean, I don't know, but those are, again, they're words. But I think intuition and like energy exchange is what this is all about. Even the victim, I mean, it's all about, it seems to me like, we can't, our intuition tells us, I think, where to put our energy and, our hearts and, our trusting ourselves and to see and feel, who to show up for and who's going to show up for us. And, we only have so much energy to give and to be open to receive. But I think this is really important to talk about, because that's kind of like what sort of seems to be, all this monetary system crap, and how they talk about the energy exchange and everything. And, I don't know, anyway, I just wanted to open that up because like what Fred was talking about made me think about it, the energy exchange with one another and how to fine-tune our intuition as to how to expend our energy with one another, Anyway, I wanted to open that up a little bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, and maybe that even when we talk about communication, we talk about words, because we all get fucked over on words. And that's where, if we can get to a place where you can be more energetically in tuned with a person, then the meanings of the words aren't going to be so hazy. You know what I'm saying? We already do that to a certain level anyways. A good portion of us know when someone's bullshitting us. You energetically get that from them. They're bullshitting, or you get that real passive aggressive when they're saying something that looks like words on the screen that's really, really nice. You can feel underneath, you're a fucking bitch. I can't believe you just said that. Really. The energy exchange is already happening. The more in tune we are to that, maybe we'll have less problems with communication. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, the more that we can become in tune with having conversations with each other on
That's
that level, then the words aren't going to matter as much because you intuitively get what someone's saying. I got intuitively, when JC was talking about the whole echoes and that, you intuitively get, I got what she was saying. And I'm sure everyone here probably got what she was saying. Because you get to a point where you don't necessarily need the words. Unfortunately, when we're outside of our certain circles that we can do that with, we deal with people who don't understand that, who will lie to your face, and you just look at them and go like, seriously? Wow, you just lied right to my face, and you think I did it to my daughter today.
Well, it's also easy to do digitally, Danny.
Yep.
But we're starting to pick up on it.
But we're picking up on it. That's what I'm saying, Penny. Yeah. I'm saying, like, digitally, you get it. When you're in a Facebook chat with someone, and someone makes a snide comment, we've all seen it in UnFuckers. There are people in UnFuckers who will make comments that you just know that are just, and, you know, I'm not saying those people are necessarily bad people. Maybe they're just having a bad day. But you get the energy from it. And you know when they're bullshitting you, or you know when they're, their energy's not coming from a nice place. You know when sarcasm isn't just a joke, when sarcasm is actually kind of nasty. You get that. Even disingenuous. Thank you, Marie. Good word. Disingenuous. When the energy is disingenuous and it doesn't line up with their words.
And that balance.
Sorry to interrupt real quick. I was going to say, it's disingenuous.
Disingenuous.
It's disingenuous.
Yes, disingenuous. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
disingenuine, and disingenuous.
He loves that word.
Which means not being authentic. And I think that, like Danny, like you were saying earlier about being balanced within and doing the inner work and all that, if you're able to do that for yourself and trust yourself, you will be able to read and pick up, you know, other people's, you know, intent or energies or authenticity or genuine, you know, you're not using your ego to discern. You're using that intuition, that magic place. But I think you have to get to a balance within as best you can, which is a constant thing. We're, you know, always working on it, but.
Yep. And being responsible for ourselves too. I had a lesson this summer. One that got smacked in my face several times. In that, when you're angry at someone, maybe they don't completely comprehend it, but they feel it. And then when they respond back to you, they're going to feed you right back the exact same shit that you're throwing out at them energetically. And when you finally get to a place of realizing that you're throwing this out at them and that their responses are literally feeding off the energy you're feeding them, and that you're the one perpetuating some of the arguments, etc., then all of a sudden you can get to a place where you can kind of go, okay, I need to be really, really much, much more responsible with my own emotional responses to things and what I'm putting onto other people, what I'm pushing, in some cases, onto other people. And it's a really, really important point. And it comes back to that whole thing of self-responsibility. And like I said, we're always learning. And that was a really big one for me this summer. I realized that I was pushing some heavy-duty anger buttons at a particular friend of mine. And when I became aware that I was really feeding it, and I stopped, like literally you get and start like, okay, clean slate, just wipe out all the negative shit and stop literally living in this negative loop of bullshit. You know what? Everything changed like that. And I mean literally in one day, like that.
I'm so glad you brought that up, Danny, because I am the kind of person, and I agree with you. I can, you know, once you take on responsibility for yourself and you get up and you forgive and you go on and you're interacting or engaging with that particular person, when you get to the point where you know you're taking responsibility for yourself in this respect, but the same things keep showing up with another person, this is when you realize that you do have to walk away.
Exactly.
It can be so gut-wrenching and so heartbreaking, but there's times where that's necessary. And you know,
Absolutely.
I barely slam the door, but you know, there's you know, yeah. Thank you for talking about that.
No, and that's it. And it's like I said, it's always a two-way street. I'm bringing up one perspective because it's my own perspective of what I've gone through emotionally and mentally myself. But yes, you're absolutely right. You have those points when you realize you're not feeding it. It is actually the other person being fucking nasty. And that comes into the whole thing about victim again. Right? You're not feeding the monster. That person is genuinely treating you like a piece of shit. And it has nothing to do with you. It has totally to do with them. And at that point, when you come to that realization, it's like, yeah, done. And you close that door and say, yeah, I'm just not doing this anymore.
Well, hey, Danny, how much of that is the open energy versus the closed energy as well? You know, after our talk last week, I went to the store and I used that open energy that we talked about last week, right? And I noticed, oh my God, afterwards, my energy was just accelerated. And so I wondered if we have to release this energy, but in an open way. And well, we here again, you'll have to straighten this out for me, Danny.
I'll do my best. I'm not saying I will be able to, but I'll try.
We always come at an angle of self first, right? And so that person's so angry with us, right? And so we tend to close off. So when we're using energy, then we're using a closed energy. And we talked about that open, sending that energy just in an open way, let them use it to how they seem fit. Now, I know personally what I've been doing is if I encounter a angry person, right, I usually kind of close off and
protective. You protect yourself. Yep.
Yeah. But what I experienced last week, because she was so upset and she was just having a really bad day, and usually I would just get my stuff and just go, and that was, but I sent that open energy, and oh my God, the whole atmosphere changed, and she was very nice afterwards. And then I looked over at the deli lady or the bakery lady, and she just seemed like she was having that day too, and I sent that energy to her. And I'm seeing them in the store afterwards because I was there for like an hour shopping, and and here they've got their carts, and I mean, it was just a total different energy. So I'm even wondering how much of that angry that other person is exhibiting is possibly a mirror within ourselves.
See, and I get what you're saying. I completely get what you're saying. It goes in the old analogy. You smile. You walk down the street and smile at someone. Make eye contact and actually smile. Say good morning, good afternoon, whatever. You can change someone's whole perspective by smiling. The cashier, like you say at the store, you can change their whole day by just smiling and being nice to them. And that is a form of that open energy exchange. Just you're giving them something nice. That in a job where those people sometimes have to take a lot of shit. But not everything is a mirror. And that's what I'm saying. And that's where we have to discern, because There are people who are fucking emotional vampires who will suck up all the energy you give them, and it won't make a lick of fucking difference. And there are those people who are out there who are just, they're energy takers. They're energy. It's like in the Celestine prophecy, right? They talk about that. They're just energy takers, and they will just take and take and take. And at some point, for me personally, I get to a point of like, okay, I'm sorry, I can't do this anymore. Because
sometimes it's selective, I've noticed too.
Say again, it's what, love?
Selective. Sometimes
selective, yeah.
People do that to some people, but they don't do it to other people. You know what I mean? And what JC's talking about, it feels to me like it's what real love is about. It's giving without agenda, and it just expands you. I feel the most magic when I'm in that energy, but now I've learned to discern, like you're saying, Danny, as to not let the vampires, take from me. But you can give it without agenda, and that to me is really the biggest lesson, and I just want to say that.
Yep, absolutely. I'll give you 2 examples. I have been known my entire life, apparently, it seems like, as Dr. Danny. Everyone comes to me with their problems, whether it's like their boyfriend, girlfriend problems, marriage problems, physical problems, whatever it is. And so I've been nicknamed Dr. Danny for 30 years anyway. And my door is always open. All my friends, if you want to talk about something, come on over, talk. I can help you talk through it, whatever. And you get to a point, though. So, for example, I had 2 separate incidences. 2 good friends. It was about 4 or 5 years apart. One of them, still love him to pieces. I don't get to see him very often, but we chat on Facebook occasionally. We've known each other for 25 years. Love him to pieces, but the man loved to tell you about his broken heart. And not only that, he was a little bit of a whore when we knew each other back in our 20s. And he always had girl problems, and 90% of the time, they were brought on by him because he couldn't keep it in his pants, no matter how many girlfriends he had. But he would show up at my shop with his coffee and be, oh, Danny, I have this, and I'd walk him through it. And after years of this, I literally got to the point one day when he showed up at the shop where, again, he had like another, yet again, girl problem. And I just looked at him and I said, dude, I don't want to hear it anymore. Because all you want to do is talk to me, but you're not listening. So you're not actually here to get help. You're not actually here. All you want is for someone to say, oh, it's okay. It's okay. You'll next time. Or, oh, yeah, no, she was wrong. I'm not going to do this anymore. And he showed up about a month and a half, 2 months later with his coffee and tried to tell me about another one of his. I was like, I told you, dude. I'm not interested. I'm not listening anymore because I have given you all this energy, and your time is your energy too, right? Like not just the energy that you give, but the time that you spend, the words, the emotional support, that's all part of your energy. And I finally cut him off. I moved away from Malta then about 3 months later. So, and the same thing, I had a female friend about 5 years later. And it was the same thing. She would come to me with the same problems over and over and over again. And I helped her work through them and hold her hand while she kind of dealt with these issues, et cetera, et cetera. But it got to the point where 4 or 5 years later, we were still having the exact same conversations because she was still doing the exact same things. And I just finally say the same thing where you go, okay, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not going to sit on the phone and talk to you at 2 o'clock in the morning for 4 hours while you cry about the same thing you've been crying about for 10 fucking years because you refuse to fucking change or you refuse to take control of your life. You get to a point where you're just like, sorry, I'm not giving you that energy anymore. I've given you everything I've openly given you, but there comes a point when you have to stop. Because there are those people out there who are not willing to look at their shit. And they just want to feed you the sob story. And maybe that's, again, like that whole victim snowflake thing. I don't know. But that's that's where we have to discern. That's part of us, and that's part of us being balanced as well. Like, you have to be able to be balanced in yourself and responsible in yourself to be able to make those decisions sometimes. Yeah, Tracy. Yeah, I agree about the wallowers. I have a point where you're just like, okay, dude, seriously, get on with it.
Danny, when I met my husband, I was probably in my 30s, early 30s. I'm 55 now. We've been together since. I used to complain about my weight all the time. Up, down, up, down. So he met me when I was up. So for about 2 solid months, I was complaining about my weight. Totally negative energy. Every time he said something, I'd complain about my weight, or I don't want to go do this, nothing fits. He finally looked at me and basically said, shit or get off the pot. Either do something about it or shut up. And it was pretty harsh, but that was my wake up moment. It was like, he's right. I'm not doing anything to fix it. I'm just complaining about it. So that was my wake up moment. And I'm like you. I have all the friends that come to you and tell you the problems. When I was at work, one girl, same problem. Every weekend her husband would drink. He'd come home drunk. They'd fight. He'd want to have sex. She didn't want to because it lasted too long and she hated it and blah, 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 blah. She got some money. She came into money. She had the opportunity to leave. Her mother had died. Guess what? She stayed. So when I retired 2 years ago, I had known her for 25 years. And every weekend she came to work and complained about the same thing. That's a 25-year loop. How sad is that?
Yep.
That's my contribution was, though, about my weight. I learned my lesson early about, this loop thing. Like, either do something about it or shut up. Like, I had lent some people some money. I lent this girl almost $3,000, and I had met her at bingo. I used to go to bingo. I had met her at bingo, and she needed money. I also signed for her apartment. And she said she would pay me back $100 a month. No problem. She never paid me back. And I kept complaining about it to my husband. And he finally said to me, he said, look, he says, you've got it all in writing. Either take her to court or shut up. I'm tired of hearing about it. Like, again, I'm harsh, but it's your wake-up call sometimes, right? And I said, yeah, you're right. You know what? I forgot about it because she was a friend. And I couldn't take a friend to small claims court. It didn't matter. She wasn't my friend any longer, but so just a little story to support what you were saying. That's all.
There's points when people, you have to draw the limit. You have to draw the limit and say, I'm not feeding you any more energy. And energy being either your time, your ear, your shoulder for them to cry on. You get to a point where you have to, because you know what? We have other things that we have to do in our life. So like I said, this friend of mine who would cry and call me at 2 o'clock in the morning and go on and on and on for 3 hours. I had a newborn baby at the time. So I'd get to bed at like 5, 6 in the morning and he'd be awake 45 minutes later. And then I'd have a newborn baby all day that I had to deal with. You get to a point when you have to cut off the spigot. You have to turn off the tap.
But looking at it,
But we shouldn't be jaded though either. And this is my whole thing too. I am the most unjaded person. I will give everyone 1,000 chances, and drives Nick actually nuts because he is someone like, once someone has fucked him off, that's it. That's it. Whereas I'll be like, yeah, you know what? No, if someone turns over a leaf, apologizes, anything, I'm more than willing to help them out again or do whatever, as a friend. But there does come a time when you have to make those decisions. Maury, I agree. People love their story and they love telling it. And if they're not careful, they define themselves as their story. Absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely. And we all love our own story. We love to tell our stories about what we did when we were kids, and God knows you guys hear me talk about enough about this kind of shit. When you realize, and Nancy, because I had a very similar thing happened to me, was what you were talking about. And mine was my mom. My mom is the most negative person on the fucking planet. Everything hurts. She's always sick. If you ask her how she is, she's going to be, oh, well, you know, my favorite azaleas are dying in the kitchen, and I can't, and, you know, my toe is kind of hurting today. And one day, I literally, I've got bad knees. I destroyed my knees when I was a teenager doing sports. And I was talking to a friend at work, and this friend was like a Monday morning, said, how you doing? And the first words that came out of my mouth was like, well, it was kind of a shitty weekend, and my knees are really killing me today. And I literally heard my own mother's voice come out of my head, and I went, holy shit. And it was a wake-up moment for me. I was like, oh, fuck, I'm channeling my mother, and she's not even fucking dead. Holy crap. I don't want to be that person. And you put that into perspective into your lessons in life and go like, okay, well, we're not going to do this anymore. Like, this change everything, right? That's it. We do love our stories. We want to tell our stories, but it's very, very slippery slope to becoming your story. And I agree. And that maybe comes into the whole victim thing too. We've all had a lot of shit in our lives. I can guarantee, I know a lot of people who are here. I know a lot of you guys. And I've heard some of your stories. And I can say that everyone here that I know has had some serious fucking shit go down in their life. And I ain't fucking joking. And we can become that, or we can be us, who's just had shit in our lives and we've moved on. And we've learned from it, and we've grown from it, and we've been knocked down by it several times, but we move on.
It's good to add here too that, you know, we are not our stories. That's obvious. I mean, some people fall into the trap, like you just said, of becoming their stories. But we also have to remember, again, that 0-point balance about understanding that we can't assume anything about one another either, because maybe we haven't told our whole story, or somebody doesn't really know your whole story, and that's very challenging as well. That again is the double-edged sword about why we aren't our stories, so therefore we can't see one another as if we know anybody's full story, because it doesn't matter. It's a viewpoint by then. We are who we are in the moment, and that changes constantly. And I just wanted to mention that because, you know, I try to stay open to people and not assume who I think they are by, you know, what's in their surrounding in their video or how they look or any of that. We can't do any of that. It's not fair to anybody, and I don't know. I just wanted to mention that. That's all.
No, absolutely, and you're absolutely right. You can't judge a person until you've walked a mile in their shoes, and sometimes that mile has to be walked backwards through their past. Absolutely, no, I completely agree. Completely agree. And that's the one thing that, for me, like, that's what I try and keep in mind is, like, you know, even to the point of people who are bitchy, people who are having a bad day. It's kind of funny because Nick is very, very different than I am. And of course, he's one of the admins in the UnFuckers group. And there have been times when people have put up a post and Nick's been like, I'm going to fucking kick them out. I'm like, no, you're not. He'll say, why? This is nasty. This is bullshit. I'm like, because they're just having a bad day. And you know what? Everyone's allowed to have a bad day. And it makes him nuts. But I'm like, you know what? They're having a bad day. I know overall that's not usually how they are. And the people who are persistently bitchy or nasty, sooner or later, they just fucking leave. And I don't have to do anything anyway. Right? Some of us have bad days. And we got to cut people's slack even from that. Especially right now. A lot of us are having a lot of fucking bad days. Yeah, and it's the behavior, not the person. I agree, Gypsy. And like sometimes people fall into old behavior traps. And I mean, the problem is when you deal with a group of people is how do you show people their behavior traps? how do you express to people to help them see it? Because sometimes people just don't realize it. They don't own their shit, and they don't realize what it is that they're doing. That's a tough one. That's a really, really tough one, because a lot of times if you try to talk to someone and point out a belief structure that they're perpetuating, etc., whatever it is, or that they're being very passive aggressive, etc., they'll blow up and they won't listen because they don't want to see it in themselves.
I just wanted to add something here. One of my dearest friends that I've met since I've been on the internet, I'm almost going to cry when I say it, was somebody that pointed out to me and slapped me upside my head spiritually and said, "You're fucking looping. Get over it." And instead of me being in my ego in that moment, I was able to feel so close to that person because they had enough courage to tell me what I needed to hear, you know, and that's a form of love. And if you try to extend that to another person and they cannot allow that, then there's nothing you can do. But I have gotten the closest to someone that is able to tell me what I need to do to grow, because you know, what else is there? I mean, I don't know. I just wanted to say that because you made me think of it. That's all.
I hear you. No. Absolutely.
I'll jump in real quick and say, like we were just saying, it's like I can tell by just even hearing some people talk, and then if they hear me talking with some other person about something like this, and you know, they're totally oblivious. I mean, they're like, I could just, you know, you can tell by the way they talk, and when they say stupid shit to you. You know, they basically, when they say stupid shit to you anyways, you know, it's, yeah, I mean, and when they try to get bossy, you know, they treat you like a kid. They try to talk. You know, I've had that happen. With women and men. You know, it's got this energetic target on me. Like I've got this energetic target. It's like, yeah, it's weird. I've gotten that for so damn long. Because I can remember, but it's yeah, it seems like it's almost as and the whole weird thing about it, when I analyze it too, sometimes it's like they're trying. It's like maybe deep inside their core, deep inside, they're so afraid of what they might have to be responsible for that if they hear you talking about something they don't want to deal with, then yeah, they're going to try to just
absolutely
resort to that tactic.
Yep.
Even if they are, you know, they are. You can tell they come off stupid. They don't. It's like deep in their core. Maybe deep in their core, they're too afraid.
Yep. There's a lot of reasons.
I'd like to add something to this conversation about the general stuff that you're talking about, Danny, in particular, and Teresa too, for that matter. A lot of this stuff, this victimhood, this whatever, what they are is programs that were instilled in us when we were young, when we were kids growing. We didn't know it, but they were instilled in it by who? That would be our parents, our teachers, our authority figures as we grew. We bought them as us. Mm-hmm. To name a couple of them, I know for sure, for me, the not good enough thing was the big one. No matter what I did, I wasn't good enough. And I carried that my whole life. That was a internal defining thing. So I had to deal with that. Okay, I know another one that a lot of people have. I've met a lot of people with it. They're not worthy. You say, okay, what does not worthy mean? Well, I met a lot of women in particular, but I met a few men too. It's low self-esteem. You all heard that one. That's a fucking program that was given to us as kids when we didn't know any better, by people who probably didn't know they were doing it, or they did. The point is, we bought it as our definition of ourselves.
Yep.
We go by that. But the thing is, and as long as you don't look at that, that is your persona. That's how you relate to the world. As you know, those are only two. There's probably a half a dozen others that could be labeled and named if I wanted to sit down and write them all out. But I don't, not for this. And until you look at it as that, you look at it and say, wait a minute. That is a program. That's something that I didn't create. That was given to me that I accepted.
Yep.
Whether I knew I was accepting it or not. But now we're adults. We're all adults in this room right now in varying age ranges. The point is we're fucking adults. And we have the option at our disposal if we choose to look at it and say, wait a minute. Yes, that is part of my story that I love to hang on to and tell people all about my story. You know, I'm this, that, and the other thing. True. It's part of human nature as far as I've been able to determine of everybody I've ever run into, including myself.
Yep.
But that isn't me necessarily. I mean, I have the ability to say, okay, that's a story, but here I am now. I can do something about it. Or I don't have to. I can say, nah, that's too big. I'll just keep telling my story. The point is, at this juncture, for the 39 people that are in this room right now, you have a choice. It's up to you. You take, look at it as such. Don't look at it as such. Whatever. I'm just offering that as kind of like the way I'm looking at it right now, and I'm trying to share it with you. Okay?
Yep, I agree. Well said, Maury.
Yeah, and I want to add
Real quick, Tracy,
that's the most important thing. And there's a name for it, Joseph Campbell. Joseph Campbell called it the hero's journey. And if we don't sit down and figure out where our trauma is that perpetuates our dysfunction, then how the fuck can we figure anything else out? We got to do that first. I think that's the internal journey. Thank you for mentioning that, Maury. Maury was one of the people sitting in the room that had a lot to do with me all of a sudden saying, oh my fucking God, what is wrong with me? I didn't know I had this thing. I just thought I was a really good person. I busted my ass all my life and I couldn't figure out what the fuck was going on. But it was that inner trauma, that programming or whatever the hell happens when you're a kid or something, the abandonment, whatever we all go through. And like Maury said, accidentally often. We all accidentally, traumatize our children. I did it in the flip side. I overcorrected. I created entitlement by myself. We all do these things, but you got to see it. And until you see all that within, you can't really get anything on the outside of it, in my opinion. So thank you for talking about that, Maury, because that's my most important part of my journey is that right there. So thank you.
Well, you're welcome, Teresa. The one thing I will say is at this point, we have a choice. We're not victims unless we allow ourselves to be, because it's been called. It's there to be seen if you care to look at it. And I'm not aiming that at anybody in particular. It's just an observation. That's as far as this was not aimed at anybody in person except I'm victim of it, or I was victim of it. I allowed myself to be without knowing it. But somebody did me the favor of calling it out for that. And damn it, I looked at it and I was shocked, but in an instant I knew it was true. And I could actually change that. I had the power to change it. And since that moment, in my own internals, and I say this out loud, I have. I don't use that excuse anymore, which was a good fallback or a good psychological salve that I would rub on my shoulders without telling anybody, when shit didn't go right. I just flipped the switch on that, and it's possible. But you have to look at it. Mm-hmm. And somebody has to call it for you. So I'm just put out a general call there.
Yep. Yeah, I agree.
Tracy was what to say. So, yeah.
I just want to add something really quick that my son just told me, and it's funny because Teresa said something about being brainwashed as kids. My son just told me that his teacher said that conspiracy theorists only like to be conspiracy theorists because they feel like they have something that other people don't know to talk about. That's what the teachers are telling these kids in school,
Yeah, that's right. That's why I do it. I just want to have something to talk about that no one else knows.
Yeah.
Oh, that's horrible.
That's funny, but you know what? Here's the whole thing. I always love when this kind of shit comes up, like that specifically, because it tells you just how far it's spreading.
Oh, yeah.
When teachers are telling this and using the word, how old's your son?
14.
Yeah, like he's a kid. And yeah. Teachers are actually using the term conspiracy theorists are doing it because it's like, wow, we're doing a good job. We're doing a good job, folks, because like even teachers are talking to 14-year-olds about this shit.
It's like that's
Units
what
in
it's
a line.
all about, is like brainwashing the kids while they're there. Like, make sure they, oh, the conspiracy, this and blah blah. Like, so many things he's told me about that they talk about in school are things that they shouldn't be talking about in school. Like, they're just purposely brainwashing them when they're supposed to be there to learn math and science and fake history.
Oh, listen, I just had this conversation with my kids today because my youngest daughter's been slacking off a lot lately. And we had to sit down and have the big conversation today about self-responsibility and education and learning, because I'm an unschooling parent. Like, my kids learn whatever the fuck they want to learn, and I don't meddle. For the most part, I don't meddle. Although I am forcing my 8-year-old to learn to read now. I finally at 8 was like, okay, dude, seriously, you are going to learn how to read, and we're going to go through this. And I was joking and saying to her, I said, look, I'm not the harsh parent who's going to ride your ass and say you need to do 2 hours of math and 2 hours of English and 2 hours of science and 2 hours of history. And she looked at me and went, history, Mom? I was like, no, you're never going to hear your mother ask you to study history. Ever. And they all laugh because they hear me rant about the bullshit of history continuously. So I'm like, no, don't worry. You don't have to study any history. I don't expect you to. But some basic math skills would be a good thing to have later on in life. So yeah, the bullshit they teach you in school, don't even get me started.
This sounds a lot like what Bruce Lipton was talking about, Danny. Sorry, I'm a mess. I came in from out of the rain.
Oh, you look gorgeous. Never mind.
Yeah. But yeah, the programs in the subconscious that are always running.
And there's tons of them. And there's tons, and some of them are really deep, because in that Bruce Lipton video, he brings up the whole thing talking about, for example, the placebo effect.
Yes.
Well, how about let's look at the fact of our bodies weren't designed to die. So do we die because we've been, like, it's an unconscious program that's running continuously that says someday you're going to die. So therefore, guess what happens?
There's a thought.
Well,
I know.
It's like the same thing with things about cancer, right? Like,
Yep.
How many people have done something and said things like, yeah, well, I'll probably get cancer. Yeah, I'm just going to smoke this cigarette, but I'll probably get cancer, but whatever. And what happens? They end up getting cancer. Or the doctor says to you over and over, and we talked about this, I think, last week or the week before, consider it continuously, like programming of like, you've got cancer, you're going to die. You just need to get that into your head and then move on. Well, wait a second, that's just part of programming. And then belief structures, because it's been pressed on us from the time we were children, all these things have been pressed on us. Residual self-image from the Matrix movie. Well, you're a fat, overweight, racist hick. Is that residual self-image that you're overweight and you've got crappy skin and all the rest of it? How much of that is programming because that's what we've been told? How many people are stupid because they've been told their whole life that they're stupid?
No shit, right? It's true.
Listen, the programs are fucking deep. The programs, literally everywhere I look, it almost always, I can sit there and look at any subject almost and look at it and go, is that just a program response that we have? Like, and you can kind of look at it, some of this stuff, and go, yeah, like some of this stuff you really could say, I could very well be just part of the program. Just if it's told and reinforced generationally, especially, generation after generation after generation.
Yes, repetitive. It's because it's repetitive, and that's how it gets in there. And so one of the things he was saying is you got to be repetitive and telling the subconscious mind, I'm healthy, I'm happy, this kind of thing.
Yep.
In other words, fake it till you, how does that go? Fake it till you make it.
Fake it till you make it. Yeah, sometimes it is. There's an expression that I love, and it's one of Nick's. We are responsible for our own happiness. Every single person is responsible for their own happiness.
Unless you're codependent.
Even still, you have the option of leaving, right? Yeah, Jane, you weren't here for the whole last hour of the conversation. Okay, you're excused from the quiz at the end of this show because you weren't here, so you didn't. We've already totally discussed all of this shit for over an hour and a half. So
I'm a day late and $1 short off.
See, what can you do?
Work.
We're responsible for our own happiness, and a lot of times we can also be responsible for our own misery. And literally, I've used this analogy. I just had this conversation with my eldest daughter 3 days ago about the whole thing. You can let those thoughts fester in your head and let the loops just keep running on play. I'm stupid, or I'm fat, or I'm whatever. Insert fucking negative description term here. Or we can tell it to shut up. And sometimes you have to tell it to shut up. And sometimes you have to be, like you say, almost like fake it till you make it. You have to put the smile on your face and say, I am going to smile today. No matter how sad I feel inside, I'm going to smile today, because sooner or later, the smile will actually be natural.
The thing is, Danny, you have the power to do that. You can do that.
Exactly.
So if you see that, and it gives life to what you just said, we can change it. We're not victims unless we choose to be or allow to be. Once we see the situation, you have, just like you said, you have the power to stop it. Most people don't do that.
A good point.
But here we are. Go ahead, Jane. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you, really.
No, I'm sorry, too. And a good point here, too, to consider and remember, and this really hit home with me, is just like to undo the damage or to turn it around, you have to be repetitive with it. Well, the repetitive negativity damages our health, you see. So if we can be repetitive and turn this thing the other direction, you're going to become, you'll run into more a healthier environment for yourself.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. But we are responsible. We are the ones who are, in the end run, we are the ones who are solely responsible for our happiness, our anger, our negativity, our positivity, however you want to look at it. And we have to make choices. And now sometimes it's fucking hard. And sometimes we have bad days. And you have bad days when you sit on your bed and go like, I think I'm just going to sit here and cry.
Right.
I think I'm going to just sit here and punch my pillow.
That might be a cleansing.
And it is what it is.
Yeah.
Because we're not perfect, and we all go through emotional ups and downs.
Right.
But we are responsible for our own happiness. And if something is genuinely making you miserable, and you can look at and do the inner work and figure out what about it, i.e. it's not something you're self-perpetuating, as I said earlier, then you get to a point when you make a choice and you be like, okay, well, I'm fucking miserable. This is making me miserable. Well, then guess what? Cut it out. Cut it out of your life. Get rid of it. Whatever, whether it's a person, a place, or a thing, you get rid of it. And yeah, repetitive negative thoughts cause disease, dis-ease.
Yeah.
I have always had a mantra, if you will, and I've had it for as long as I can remember. That when people say things like, talk about, cancer, stuff like this, I've always said, I'm not going to get cancer. And people go, well, that's just ridiculous to say. I'm like, maybe, but I'm not going to get cancer. Because I refuse to have it. Because and I don't mean that, because I know a lot of us here have struggled with that, but you also get into a mindset. In my family, I caught myself the other day. Someone came by, it was one of these meme type graphics came by. It was talking about fibromyalgia. And there was a big printed list of all the symptoms. And I'm like, I have 100% of those symptoms. 100%. And I was diagnosed back when I was, 23. I had my doctor say to me, I think you've got fibromyalgia. I want to run. Why don't you come in? We're going to send you to a specialist to do some tests. I'm like, okay, great. So first off, is there a treatment and is there a cure? And he was like, no and no. I said, then why the fuck would I go have the tests? Why the fuck would I go have the test? What, to be told some fancy name thing that I have that no one can do anything about? That's retarded. I'm not going to do it. I'd moved to Malta many years later, and I got a letter from my mom saying, oh, your sister's just been diagnosed with fibromyalgia, and I know that you've had several of those symptoms, so I think you should go and get yourself diagnosed. And I was like, no. Why? Why do I need a name for how I feel? Whatever it is, they can't give me a pill to fix it. You know, back then I did take medicines and stuff. No, they can't take a pill to fix it. They don't have a treatment for it. So why should I go through all the emotional bullshit of getting it diagnosed and worrying about something that I can't do anything about and change? And then we're all, oh, well, you know, it doesn't make any sense. And I caught myself when I read the thing going, oh, fuck, you know, maybe I really should get that, like, at least do some research on the fibromyalgia and go and look at alternative stuff. Like, maybe I should look at all this alternative health stuff and what I can do. And then I looked at it, I was like, no, fuck that shit. I don't have fibromyalgia. Fuck it. Spun on through the page. Certain aspects of this we take on ourselves. How many people have said that? I know I can do it to myself every single time. If I say I'm going to get sick, and I unfortunately learned this the very hard way, you know, you want to get out of work, and you call in sick. Do you know what happens to me? Within 3 hours, I'm fucking sick.
Well, I was sick today. That's why you didn't see me.
There she
Oh,
is.
honey.
Yeah, I ate a half a tuna fish sandwich last night that I from Antone's, which I thought was good. And I woke up this morning and I, you know, took a normal poop and everything was great. And then I had to go back in there again, and then it wasn't good. And then I was throwing up, and because I get nauseous when I can't poop. And I mean, I have been in and out of the bathtub, in and out of the bed. Now I feel better, but I'm a little weak. But it hasn't happened to me in a while.
Yeah, that's nastiness. Dude, tuna. Ew. I would not. I'm sorry. I'm laughing, and I'm not laughing at you, love. I'm laughing because my number one rule I've taught all my kids is never, ever order a tuna sandwich out.
Right.
I'm sorry, but I don't know how many friends I know who've gotten food poisoning from a tuna sandwich or tuna on toast or whatever. I'm like, never, ever have tuna or fish of any kind, like salmon salad or anything like that. Let mommy make it for you. I will make you a tuna sandwich.
I know, that's what my friend, she's like, I make all my own tuna, Dawn. I don't know why you bought that. And I'm like, oh.
Lesson learned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, can I say
Can
something?
she say something real quick? Tracy wants to say.
Yeah.
All right, the whole fibromyalgia thing. I did home care for 10 years, and I remember I had a patient, and her sister was saying she had fibromyalgia, and I never heard of it in my life. And I'm like, what is that? And she's like, oh, it's just random pain, you know, throughout your body. And I just always thought it was weird. And all of a sudden, I'm hearing about fibromyalgia everywhere and seeing it on TV, the prescription drugs for it. And then my mom had it.
It's
and I'm like,
trendy now.
Exactly. I'm like, where did it's some like mysterious disease, you know, just like all these mysterious diseases popping up. I don't know.
It's trendy right now.
No, we say
My mom's got it too. Speaking of it, but it's like I was just telling her, my so-called mom has it, and
but listen,
I don't talk to them anymore. But like she's like 70s, about 76, I think, in December, and is like she's had this going on since the 80s.
See, I had fibromyalgia really bad, y'all. I had it so bad that I was on pain meds day and night. I was on Somas. I was on Xanax. I was on Seroquel. I was on 2 other drugs. See, this is part of my testimony, is that we figured out that fibromyalgia is just pre-Lyme. It's pre-Lyme.
I'm not saying Dawn, I'm not saying that fibromyalgia doesn't exist, because let me tell you, my joints will tell you that it does.
Yeah.
Right? It is become the trendy thing, because right now there's no test for fibromyalgia. There is no conclusive test for fibromyalgia. Just like there's no conclusive test for autism, there's no conclusive test. So basically, any doctor, you go in and you can say you have 3 or 4 symptoms, and they can go, oh, you have fibromyalgia. Ta-da! You're then on drugs for the rest of your life. So the pharmaceutical industry makes all kinds of fucking money. They don't have to prove that you have it. And they don't have to prove that they can treat it and make it go away because it's incurable.
It's exactly right. And everybody that gets it ends up breaking down and gets on psych meds because over time they can't handle it. It's one of the biggest things I treat. I got off all those meds with cannabis. It took the last med it took me to get off of. It took me almost a year to get off Seroquel. That was so hard. But I honestly don't take any of that today. So it just goes to show you that it's your immune system acting out. Is what it is. It's your precursor.
It's an autoimmune. It's an autoimmune disorder.
Yes.
Gee, where does it come from? I don't know. 1,000 fucking vaccines and GMO foods and fucking all the inundation of fucking chemicals in our diet. Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, you know, you can control pain. Pain is within your realm to control anyway. So it's just like that victim being a victim or not being a victim. When you feel the pain, and of course you're going to feel it, go into that pain and own it, and you would be amazed the pain just disappears.
Not always, darling. When I broke my foot this summer,
I disagree.
the pain doesn't just disappear. I'm sorry, it doesn't matter how much I ignored my foot. Trust me, I ignored my fucking foot all fucking summer.
What she's talking about is Germanic medicine right here. And
I get it.
No, but it isn't immediate. Now, it can be immediate for some people, but mostly they have to work through their inner shit to figure out why they got sick in the beginning. You know, why did this happen?
Exactly. Now, that's different when you're dealing with what's causing the pain, because we've just talked about the emotional repercussions and how we cause our own pain through programming. The bullshit, we've just been discussing that for all this time. So absolutely.
Yeah.
But again, it's not a one-size-fits-all response.
Yeah, but it's not ignoring it. That's a totally different thing.
No, and I'm not saying it is, hun. I'm just saying my own personal thing. Like when I broke my foot this summer, I just fucking ignored it because I didn't have the time to deal with it. So I just ignored it and kept going.
And it doesn't always just go away. I mean, it'll be there, but you can move past and continue your life, you know. So
it took me almost a year to get to that point, and I have to tell you that all the autoimmune people that I have, it takes a good 3 months to really, I mean, they get relief quick, but then we've got to get all these meds out of their system. So it takes a while.
And the programming, and you got to get the programming out of their system too, which is a big one.
Annie, because I was just going to talk about that real quick, because I had to completely and utterly, after my heart condition going on and spending almost all of 2014, 15 in the freaking hospital having my heart shot back into place, I realized something, that I had already got diagnosed with the rheumatoid arthritis and osteoarthritis and all my faucet, blah, blah, blah. You know, we all have our story. But the bottom line for me, get the fucking stress out of the life, completely and totally alter anything and everything that is just keeping you out of balance. Because now that's not to say that I did all that and, you know, a lot of the stresses were able to be relieved, and also there's magic in that, because even though I flung myself into the unknown, guess what? All the UUers and all my friends and people were there for me to assist me in the transition. And if you have faith, not faith in the biblical sense, I'm sorry, but
I love you, Teresa.
If you believe in magic and you fling your ass out there in the unknown, I'm telling you something, I was damn near, it was awful, the pain. And the thing is, like, there is so many little subtleties in everything, like maybe having the broken foot or whatever. Pain also can be something for us. Okay, you don't want to walk all over a broken foot, so the pain's there to remind you, okay, I'm healing, and you got it. There are good proportions to pain. I know that sounds crazy.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to know, you have the pain tells you what you need to put your energy into.
Exactly. And for me, the biggest part was the stress of being out of balance. And it's really scary to completely, utterly change everything. I mean, from my business to my home to my animals, everything I had to release so that I could go down into myself and work on all this. And, you know, now with the support of others like Danny's C60 and the black seed oil and, you know, Dawn's medicines, all these things are out there for us. But if we're not in a balance, we're not going to be able to receive all this beautiful magic. And I mean, that's all I wanted to say.
Yep.
I feel great. Welcome to the world of everyone disconnecting from their own bodies because of their schedules.
Yeah.
Because this thing puts so much pressure on your ass
That's the
that
stress.
your body doesn't align up with your mind, and they don't have time to deal with a body that's sick. So they keep going and they push it too far, and then they break down, and then they don't know how they got there.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. We've been talking about this. Dawn, unfortunately, you've missed it. You'll have to listen to the recording. We've been talking about all this shit for the last 2 hours. And Linda, you're making me giggle because I said the exact same thing 2 nights ago. She said, I want to soak in a bathtub full of black seed oil. I said, we had storms coming through, and I was like, that's the achy days, you know, when your joints are like, oh. I was like, no, I'm going to just get someone to tie a hoist to my ponytail and just dip me into a vat of black seed oil and then pull me back out again. So it would be faster than trying to apply it everywhere. So yeah, I hear you.
That shit's freaking miraculous, man. I tell you, you can even see it in my joints and my fingers and stuff. And I have fucking fingernails for the first time in 10 years. Just in 3-4 months of taking this stuff. And
I have to cut my nails every fucking week. I look down, I'm like, what the fuck? I can't type anymore. Cut my nails off. Yeah.
I mean, it's just amazing. And, you know, I don't know, I'm just flabbergasted at the magic, you know, once you're able to fling yourself out there into the unknown and know that magic is there to support you. And that's why we do everybody need one another. Because we do these things for one another. One person has one strength that, you know, if the energy exchange is equal and you can help one another. And my God, that's why we need each other. It ain't about freaking egos. I'm sorry.
Yep. And that's why we have this discussion every week.
Another thing to keep in mind about C16 is it will enhance whatever's in your body, right? So like for me, it makes me tired because I smoke weed. So I'll smoke a big fat joint before I go to bed, and I'll take my C60 and it exasperates it, and I am out.
But it depends on the person. Dawn, it totally depends on the person. Some people take the C60 and it's like, whew, energy, yeah, it's like having 3 cups of coffee. Some people it makes them tired. I talked to my buddy, and there is something to do. They're finding blood types. Certain blood types react differently. And it also depends on what your body's doing, right? Like how it's interacting with what it need is being fulfilled in your body, right? So
and I have a lot of cannabis in my body every day with pills and stuff. So it's going to exasperate that, and it makes me tired. So I'm okay with that.
Sorry, but you know, I'm going to ask you what brand you're taking, because that also makes the difference in the oil that it's in.
I do yours. I have both. I have Purple Power, the C60 Purple is what I started with, and then I have yours. So I have both.
Yeah. So because that's the difference. Is the one thing I keep trying to tell people is, and I'm not promoting my product as for a sales thing. I'm just saying, C60 binds with the oil and takes it into the cells. So if you're going to take C60 that's mixed with sunflower oil, or some horrifying fractionated coconut oil, fractionated coconut oil is the shit, baby. It's horrible for you. Horrible for you. If you're going to take it in olive oil that's cut and like horrible rancid olive oil that's been cut with 1,000 different things, that's why I'm saying to people, if you're going to do it, fucking do it right. Take it with proper oil that is healthy.
It's fractionated
You
oil.
have to.
Is the fractionated coconut oil the same thing as MCT oil?
Yeah. Yeah. And that stuff has been so heat processed. It's been massively heat processed, and there's no nutritional value in it. And there's a lot of talk that the heat processing they do to make it fractionated so it'll stay liquid then causes actually trans oils. Like it causes a lot of negativity to the oil.
Shit, I didn't know that. I guess they quit taking.
Don't ever use liquid unless it's summertime. Don't ever use liquid coconut oil. Ever.
Hey, may I quickly interrupt?
Sorry, Bossy. What was that, Bossy?
May I quickly interrupt?
Yeah.
Because I hear the strangest things about the C60, especially since you mentioned you're one of the forgiving kind, your nails are growing. So basically, from what I understand, C60 is like first aid to your body, right? Like you put it in your body and it fights the thing you're fighting with. You need more nails. You need claws to literally get the people away that are trying to abuse you. And Dawn, maybe you are needing more sleep right now.
He does need more sleep. That's for sure.
Hang on. But what got me really curious about this thought was the people who are getting hair growths, like some hairs are growing crazily fast and stuff. Maybe that has to do with what you need right now, first aid, right? Like that stuff comes in, tries to do first aid. What you need is to catch the frequency that is actually good for you. So you grow hairs that catch the frequency. In your case, Danny, you have nail growth, you need claws, and maybe you need sleep. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm just fucking spitballing and speculating.
And I get what you're saying. When you're talking about the C60, there's certain aspects to certain things chemically that happen in the body that scientists don't have a fucking clue. They don't understand it. They can't come up with any fucking way of...
Exactly. Every biochemistry is unique. That's why you have maybe different symptoms of what you need right now. You know what I mean?
Right. But what I'm saying is, for example, black seed oil grows your hair and grows nails. No scientist can... It happens across the board. No scientist can explain.
Both?
Because they're made of the same stuff. Your nails and your hair are made of the same thing.
I know. But if you say that must be random then, right? Like
no,
one
it's not random at all. It's just a physical
faster.
No, it's just a physical process that doctors don't comprehend, and they can't figure out why it is.
I'm not talking about doctors. I'm talking about your body. The doctor doesn't know what you need right now. Your body, your brain knows what you need right now, right?
Well, I don't need the nails, and I'd like them to stop growing quite so quickly.
Sure?
Yes, I'm positive.
Like claws.
No, positive. I keep my nails usually cut to the quick because I don't need them. So I get what you're saying, Bossy, but that is, I'm sorry, I don't agree. And in some cases, yes. I think we can consciously. This is why I put out the article I did. That we talked about it last week. The Anthony Peake interview, when he talked about the double slit experiment being done with C60, which proves that the observer changes the outcome. That's why I think it's important that when you're taking C60, be the observer. Tell the C60 what you are observing it doing, i.e., you are healing me, etc. Put the conscious intent into it. Why not? Absolutely. But I don't...
Have you got any available right now, Danny?
I can't hear you. Say again.
Have you got any available now? I know you were...
No, we don't. We are... If you have been anyone who's following the C60 will know that there's a worldwide shortage of C60 at the moment.
Yeah, you talked about that.
My producer has just mailed it. They've just sent it to me on Friday. So I'm expecting it to arrive tomorrow, according to the tracking. So I'm 4 weeks behind. I'm 4 weeks behind in spinning. And I was all stocked up, and then someone just placed a really large order for the black seed and argan oil, and that just wiped out the last bit. So I have the facial serum, which I just finished spinning. I have a few bottles of that left, but the actual black seed oil, C60, will not be available for about 3 weeks.
All right, just put me down for big bottle.
I'm making a large amount of it.
Okay, I'll do a big bottle this time. Okay.
Well, I'm about to do 100 ml bottles too, so that'll be the new thing that I'll be doing. In this, I'll be putting the changes in the site over the weekend.
I'm gonna go from the purple to yours, and I'll see if I get nauseous or if I've noticed I get nauseous on it too.
You've got to watch what you're taking it with and watch your timing, because that's the whole thing. As I've said to people, no one comprehends how it interacts with foods and with medications and with, of course, chemicals, i.e. anything that you're ingesting, it's going to interact with. We're in the testing phase. So if something is interacting and making you tired, then that means, to me, you have to switch it out. Like switch it up as in try a different time, even a different amount. Maybe you're taking too much.
I tried it during the day and I went cross-eyed. Ask Maurice. I was having
But
to go like,
maybe you need a different amount, right? This is the other thing I say to people. So I have some of my clients are microdosing and having really amazing results with just microdosing. 3-4 drops under the tongue, 3-4 times a day. That's it. And they're doing really well, and they're having great things working out. Like they're seeing a great response. Other people, that doesn't work. Other people are dealing with like major medical conditions, in which case they're taking like a tablespoon 2-3 times a day because they're dealing with major medical problems that they're trying to work through. So everyone's got to be, you have to be really, really intuitive to your own needs. That is what I tell everyone. Listen to your body. If your body says it is too much, or it's not enough, or I need to take it in the morning, or I need to take it at night, or I need to take it with food, or I need to take it on an empty stomach, listen to what your body's telling you. Some people have to think about taking it with apples. So I've got a couple people who swear by taking the C60 and eating an apple. That works for them. I don't know.
good to know.
Yep, I don't know. Anyways, darlings, it's 20 after midnight. I'm really sorry. I am seriously fading fast here, and I'm starving hungry again, so I need to go find some food. And I'm hoping that some of the dinner is left out so I can just go fucking eat some.
Is Gypsy still on the call?
I think so. Let me look.
No, I looked. She's not gone.
No, she's gone, hon.
Here's the new kitty that just got rescued out of the park.
Oh, she's so cute.
Look at her. She's like a gray with all white.
She's like Maine Coon colors.
But I think she might be deaf.
Oh.
Because she doesn't move when you, like most cats run from the vacuum.
Yep.
She stared at it.
Maybe she's just really calm.
But I'm taking her because we're going to Asheville in a couple of weeks. So Gypsy, this is Gypsy's new cat.
Ah, good. Awesome. Okay, sweetie pies, I gotta go. I love you. Who's gonna stay around, take over as host? Are you leaving, Star?
Wants to Brianna, Star, now I'm doing this, what do you call it? I just spoke of myself as a second person, but I would say Brianna, Star, but came out like that anyways.
Speaking to yourself in the third person, seriously, dude.
Yeah.
Okay, who wants to take over as host so you guys can continue chatting? Raise a hand. Or Star, yes?
Yeah, I can. You want to talk some more? Or?
A little bit.
Okay.
Okay, good. Well, then I'm going to make Star. I was never mind, John. It's already made you host.
Okay, thank you, John. Thanks, John.
I love you guys. I will see you Sunday. We're doing The Matrix 2. This is The Matrix Reloaded on Sunday. Fuck off, mosquito. Seriously. And yeah, I'm going to be doing another C60 call very, very soon, like in the next week or so. And I'll catch everyone up and we can have another big discussion. But I'll let you guys know. I'll give you guys a couple of days notice before we're going to do it.
Thank you, Danny.
Danny, I got a real quick question before you go. Is there are you doing the automatic shipment thing for any? Are you doing any of that with the C60? Not at all.
I have looked at trying to set up something, but we have to wait until we've got everything stable. So I've just been talking to my guys who make the fullerenes. I'm going to put a static monthly order in, so it's my order comes in, the same amount comes shipped to me every month, so that I will know that I'm going to get my fucking C60. at that point in time, then we can work out something. I've got to find the plugin because it'll have to be like a subscription plugin type thing. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Funny, because if you do, I end up running out in between and stuff. So let me know, please.
Yep. And just all I'm warning everyone right now is worldwide production, or I should say worldwide demand, has exploded. And none of the C60 producers who actually produce the fullerenes have been able to keep up. And the people I deal with, they're literally had to go buy another whole lab and build a second lab because they cannot possibly keep up with production as it is. So I'm kind of warning people, like there could be times where we're going to see these kind of things where all of a sudden there's going to be like a massive quantity gets ordered and it outstrips. And that's what I said. I thought I was going to have the C60 and argon oil because I'd kind of overestimated how much I would need. Then I had someone literally place an order and it wiped out my entire stock. So now I don't have any left. You just don't know how the orders are going to come in. So it's just something to be aware of. But yes, I will definitely keep in mind and see if I can find some kind of a plugin on the site to work for like a monthly renewal, like an auto ship type thing. Okay, my darlings, I love you. I will talk to you. Well, I'll talk to you tomorrow in the group, but I'll talk to you on Sunday.
Yeah. Pleasant dreams, Dee. We love you.
One small step